Hey, what's up, guys? Good to be with you today. Man, so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about in our leadership podcast. Man, today I've entitled this Growing Pains, and man, this word came to me as soon as I left our leadership meeting yesterday because I know we ended on a tense moment, and I feel like if I don't address this, I'm going to miss an amazing opportunity for us to be able to rally together in something that I really feel could propel us forward. And so yesterday we ended with some tension talking about the My One shirt. I personally feel that we ended on a really good note. We walked out of there unified. And so this message isn't meant to beat anybody up, not by any means, but meant to do some teaching kind of behind the scenes of why this tension is necessary, why this friction is necessary, why I believe yesterday was a win for our leadership team. And if you disagree with anything I say, would you please call me and let's talk about it? But everything I want to unpack with you right now is just a small snippet, a lesson based upon the verse Proverbs 27:17 that says, as iron sharpens iron, so one friend sharpens another. And here's the thought I want to unpack. Now understand, we could talk about this a lot. I could do 5 or 6 leadership lessons on this, but I want to come under the umbrella of this one thought, that friction creates growth and is necessary to sharpen. Friction creates growth and is necessary to sharpen. You know, we think about the purpose of sharpening something. It's to refine it to a point. You go back to your elementary days, having to take a test, you know, filling in the bubbles and stuff, and you take your number 2 pencil up there and it's in the sharpener, and you know, you're taking a dull pencil and you're putting it in there and it's you know, it's making loud noises while it's super quiet in the room, you know, those embarrassing, awkward moments. But you're trying to refine that thing to a tip. You're trying to bring a refinement to your pencil, and that refinement never comes without friction. That pencil needs to feel the friction of the blades going around it. And what's interesting is that in this scripture it says, "As iron sharpens iron." Well, what's interesting about that in the context of this culture at this time, nothing could sharpen iron except iron. That was the only tool that they could use to sharpen it. And so you think about the illustration of the pencil and the sharpener grinding it, the iron on iron, man, those aren't pleasant sounds to the ear. You hear that friction and it causes discomfort in us. We've got to understand that friction will do the same thing to us within the context of this team. There will be those uncomfortable moments where we don't all agree, and that's why we are a team. If I wanted a bunch of little mini Levi's, I'd be by myself, and that's not what I want. I don't want a bunch of yes man, yes, Pastor Levi, anything you want, Pastor Levi. I want people to disagree to help seek the mind of the Lord more effectively. That's the goal of the team. But in those uncomfortable moments, we need to make sure that our emotions don't get the best of us, that we don't say something that we're going to later regret, and I'm going to talk about that at the end of the podcast. But it's in those moments that we feel that uncomfortable tension that, man, it's really going to be our choice whether or not we come out unified or whether we come out divided. You know, I love what my wife said, that even if, you know, we don't like all the ideas, that, you know, we go forward as one mind and one accord, loyal to that vision. You know, even if you hate it, you know, making sure that we don't say those things in front of the students. But this fundraiser, because our youth ministry is going to do it, this is our most favorite fundraiser we have ever done, and we are so excited about it, and it's going to be awesome. So either sharpened or dulled, but we won't move forward as a dull team. We've got to understand that. If we don't walk through this process of sharpening, if we don't walk through the process of friction, if we don't ever get to uncomfortable moments where we need to walk through the tension, we won't grow as a team. You know, I've entitled this Growing Pains. You think about growing up, most people, especially as they go through their junior high year, man, especially junior high year, you go through some growing pains. Your muscles begin to ache a little bit, and that's a sign that your body is growing. That is evidence that your body's growing, that your body reminding you, telling you, groaning because of the friction of the muscles, the frictions of the bones, man, growing off of each other. It is a sign of growth. The same is gonna be true of our leadership team. This conflict, this tension that we felt yesterday is good going forward. We need to have those brutally honest conversations. We need to have those conversations where voices, opinions are expressed to the point of, hey, we need to talk about this. And even though it makes some of us feel uncomfortable, let's just all be perseverant to enough that, hey, we're not leaving this meeting until we walk out of here with one mind, all on the same page, even if all of us don't agree. But we've got to be able to walk through that. We've got to be okay with that tension and not shy away from it. Let's see, what else? Okay, going back to, as iron sharpens iron, we talked about as the only metal that in that context, in that culture, that could sharpen it. But then the second part of it says, so one friend sharpens another. And I love that, because that means for us within the context of this team, whatever we put into this team is exactly what we're going to get out of it. If we come into this leadership team with this mindset that, hey, these are my friends, these are people I'm going to allow to speak into my life, I believe that we will all be sharpened, that we will all walk away from it better people as we graduate from youth ministry, as you will, move on to different areas of ministry within the context of the church. But on the leadership team, this season of your life that you are on, if you choose to receive the correction, if you choose to receive the input, I believe that with all my heart that you can be refined as a Christian. I believe that you will be refined as a believer of Jesus, that you will walk differently in your walk. You will find that you will grow more than you've ever grown before, because as a team we will seek the mind of the Lord together in unity. And so the opposite is true too, that if you come onto this team with the mindset of, I'm just here to fulfill a position, I'm just here to fill a role, I'm just here to be here for the meeting and then I'm out, you're also not going to get, you're not going to get sharpened. And I'm going to call that the easy way out. You're not going to, you will avoid the tension, you will avoid all the uncomfortableness, you will avoid the correction, but honestly I don't think you'll grow as much as you would have had you been willing to be open to being sharpened. And so that's just a thought for all of us. Now, friction also teaches us how to handle conflict. Conflict is called conflict because it usually involves tension. Now, I hate conflict in the sense of I wish I never had to deal with it. I'm not afraid of conflict, but if I never had to deal with it, I would be okay with that. But learning to deal with conflict is important because it helps us create common ground. Two people that can walk through conflict together usually come out better on the other side. Think about any of your best friends, and we'll use this as an example. There have probably been moments in your friendship where there was some serious butting of some heads, and you two came together at some point, you reconciled it between you two, you forgave each other, you talked it out, you brought clarity, you walked through the uncomfortable conversation, you said something that you'd been holding in for a long time, the other person said something they'd been holding in the whole time, and then you guys came to a mutual agreement, and then once that was off your chest, you felt like you two could conquer the world together, that you two were on the same page. Didn't it just feel nice to have that release of pressure and now you could hang out with them without feeling and then all of a sudden the tension is gone. That's the goal, that as we walk through these tensions, that we would come out better together, that we would come out stronger than we were before, that we would come out more unified than we were before, that we would come out with this mindset that we are always going to conquer this tension and this conflict, never leaving it unsettled, but always settling it so that we can grow together. This is a young leadership team that needs to experience some growing pains, and I think yesterday was just a small taste of it going forward. I'm excited. This is going to be good. And so this is where I'm going to end, hopefully quickly. This is the cautions of friction. We've talked about all the necessities of friction, how it's good, how it stimulates growth, how it sharpens us, how it refines us. Oh man, it's all good stuff. There's so much more I could say. But just quickly, some of the cautions of friction, some of the cautions of tension and conflict and sharpening each other. Sharpening one another is never an excuse to be able to argue for the sake of arguing and using the excuse that, oh, I'm just trying to sharpen them. But really, you're just trying to get your point across so that you can argue for the sake of arguing. That becomes destructive. That is no longer sharpening. That detracts from unity, and all it does is cause frustration, and all it does is cause division. That is not seeking the mind of the Lord. That is not seeking unity within the team. And so I really want to encourage us, first and foremost, not to apologize for friction, not to shy away from it, but at the same time, it's not an excuse for us to beat each other up. It's not an excuse to berate one another, to tear each other down. And I know that's not the heart of this team. I know that's not the mind of this team. But I always want us to keep that in the back of our mind, that it is for building the team. Just a thought. You don't ever apologize to your pencil after you sharpen it. No, you sharpen it so that you can use it. You and I need to be sharpened so that we can be used by God. And I love what it says in Ecclesiastes 10:10. If the iron is blunt and one does not sharpen the edge, he must use more strength. Come on, how true is that? You got to push way harder to use a blunt instrument. Use a blunt pencil. It's just annoying to use. But then the last line, it says, but wisdom helps one to succeed. How do we sharpen one another? Man, we give wise counsel. And we've got to believe that there is wisdom represented in our team enough to the point that, man, we can sharpen each other, we can refine each other, we can work through the friction, we can work through the tension, and come out better because of it. Man, I love you guys so much. I'm fired up about this. Believe in each and every one of you. Praying for you, and hope you have a good day. Hope this podcast blesses you. Sorry it's 12 minutes. So much more I could say, but man, we're just going to leave it at that. So I love you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you, and man, I'll see you guys on Wednesday. All right, love you, and the Lord loves you. Bye.